Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Survivor 49 Power Rankings. Today, we are going to be talking about episode 6, which, in contrast to every other episode this season, wasn't awful. And to say that all the other episodes were awful is a stretch, but this season has been pretty bad as of yet, so it was pretty nice to get an episode that, while mostly carried by one character, was still pretty good. So, with that being said, let's start it out this time with the tribe that did go to tribal with the Kella tribe. The boot this episode, as previously predicted by me, was Shannon, who I will admit I could not stand. Shannon pissed me off a lot. So that was cool. I get it. And I'm sure she's like a fine person outside of certain views I disagree with, but it's fine. It's not a character I personally resonated with, but I do think her leaving at the end of the pre-merge here was a really good culmination to things. I think that she clearly brought something to the season. It just wasn't for me. And now we're going to move on to the rest of the players on the tribe. Starting out, we have Juwan, who did pretty good overall. I thought this was a surprisingly solid episode for Jawan, despite him still being targeted, which, especially in this spot, just came across as dumb from Shannon. But that's besides the point. Had some bonding segments with Shannon. I mean, not Shannon, Steven. Had some moments with Sage gameplay wise. Seems like he at least has some connections at this point, which we weren't seeing on his previous tribe dynamics. It's just Jawan's gotten so dunked previously in the edit, it's just hard to really take him seriously as a true contender. Albeit, I do think this episode makes me think he has more longevity than I did before. I could see Jawan going out kind of mid-merge, kind of star-esque in this spot. So while I'm still not feeling great about Jawan, I do feel a little bit better than I did before. Following that, we have Sage, who was the breakout star of this episode. People had been a fan of people were saying that he was a fan of Sage in the past. I didn't really buy into the Sage hype before, and I just didn't think she was my type of character. But oh my god, I loved her this episode. She was so much fun. The way she would just immediately groan and gag and just revolt at everything Shannon did. Yes, bitch, I love you. Love that, Sage. You're epic. Past that, though, her edit has still been really bad this season. She got a good edit this episode, but where does it go now that Shannon's gone is my worry. I honestly could very much see this just blowing back in her face at the merge, and Uli and Hina come together to just vote out Sage at that point. I'm not feeling good about her. I think that she's a good character, though. Just don't really view her as a real true contender to make it that deep at this point. And lastly, we have Steven, who should have been fucked here. I mean, three against one with people who there was at least some bond with them before. And Steven just evidently comes across like he just seems like he should be a big player. So I didn't expect him to do that well, but it all came together in the end. He ended up surviving pretty handily in the 3-1 vote. Had some good segments with Jawan, had some good segments with Sage. I just continue to be pretty whelmed by Steven's edit. So, yeah, that's the Kella tribe. Now, moving on, we have the Hina tribe. Starting with MC. Who was there? MC didn't have a lot to do this episode, which is probably good for her, considering she's been fairly prominent in the last couple episodes, but I also just think she's clearly on the bottom here, so she maybe should have gotten a tad more to try and save herself, but they didn't go to tribal, so it didn't really matter. I just continue to feel, once again, whelmed by MC's edit. Probably one of the higher ranked players on the Hina tribe, but just not well positioned in the Edgic analysis. So who cares? Following this, we have Rizzo, who was he was here. He didn't get a good episode. He had a fun segment with like the fishing and whatnot, but considering we have Alex's segment, which we'll get to whenever we get to Uli, and beyond that, it's just like he's being a joke in the episode. It's clear, mind you, his like more jokish content is meant to be like fun, and we're meant to like be laughing with him, not at him. But still, they're gonna give their winner a scene like that. I just don't think it's very realistic. And considering the rest of Rizzo's edit up to this point, I'm just kind of surprised he isn't a bigger character on the show, but I did like him here, so that was good at least. Next up, we have Savannah, who, outside of her segment at the beginning of the episode, barely got anything, so there's not a lot to say about her. So, yeah, it's just sort of more of the same. She's viewed as on top of the game, pretty much. She's in tight with the group that she got swapped onto, clearly has a good scapegoat to get out and MC. She didn't need a lot, but was there, so yeah. And then we have Sophie B, who finally got to eat food. Shoutouts, food. Good for Sophie B. Past that, though, she did have a pretty good episode. She found the knowledge is power, which sucks, but I'm not surprised that it's back necessarily. It's just a really fucking lame twist, in my opinion, considering the lack of agency players have in really properly countering it if they don't know it's in the game. But yeah, past that, I just think she got a really solid episode. We get to see her more personal content. We get to see how she's positioned in the tribe. And considering Savannah just didn't get a lot, I think it's a lot closer in the end between the two of them. So I guess we'll see how things really end up going by the end of it. And now we have the Uli tribe, which is a really funny group to me. Even more so than Kella, which is also comprised of really low edit contenders. Because it's a group of fairly low edit contenders. Alex, who we'll get to. And then Nate, who had a pretty bad episode here. So just like, this tribe is also really awful in that department. But let's start out with the person who's probably the worst. I don't know. We have Christina, who you would think, wait, but she had this whole segment at the challenge and we got to see her talk afterwards. Yeah, no shit, that was circumstantial. Like, if she's having this, essentially what seemed like a massive panic attack or something further than that, like, obviously they're going to have to show it. And people brought up, like, oh, they didn't show Kevin's. But, yeah, that was the premiere. This is a very different situation in which they've clearly been struggling to get content just because of how bad the episodes have been. And then afterwards, we get to see her being undercut by Sophie S. Queen Sophie S. Who's not on the show. I wish Christina was on the show more. I wish I could put Christina higher. But they don't care about Christina, so I don't care about Christina anymore. It's a shame. Next up, we have Sophie Sagrati, the number one player on Survivor 49. By far my favorite contestant at this point, strictly because she's not on the show, and I think that's really funny. But, past that, she got a little bit to do. She had a couple confessionals, which, love that for her. 2 of them, new high score. And past that, she was fairly relevant on the OG tribes. I was just really enjoying what we got from her overall. And while it's not a lot, and her edit has been nothing before that point, so obviously she's still on the bottom. It's a shame, but we love you, Sophie Sagrati. Imagine that's just not her last name and I've been wrong this whole time. That would be hilarious. Moving up, we have Alex, who continues to be on the show and be fine. I have no real strong opinions on Alex's edit now. He got content. He got the fishing thing, which people have compared to Kyle before. But Rizzo also got a fishing segment, so, like, is it really that deep? I don't know. Past that, Alex seems to be well positioned on his tribe, with clearly being in with both Christina and Sophie. Really tight with Sophie S in particular. And I don't know. I just don't feel very strongly towards Alex's edit. It just doesn't feel like it's going to develop into a win. So I just don't have much to say on it. He's there, but he's not really providing a lot in terms of like how much I know about him. Aside from he works a lot and doesn't exist outdoors, so cool. And lastly, we have Nate, who, like I said before, had a pretty bad episode. He gets royally swap screwed, which is something we should probably point out. How both of the swaps this season should have been shit, with just both of them having such blatant swap screwed situations, that we got incredibly lucky that the Shannon round ended up being as interesting as it was, especially for it being a Final Four round, which we haven't even gotten into how stupid the fucking tribe swap is, but that's besides the point. But back to what I was saying. Nate was clearly going to go if they lost. The edit didn't even try and hide that, with him clearly being wrong about what he thought was going on, with his lie about the Jason vote just clearly failing on all fronts. And despite there being some talks about Christina, it's just like, you kind of have to take the shot if it's there. But past that, I mean, not much more to say. He got dunked on a little bit and didn't get much past that. So it's kind of just how it goes. Let's start with the ranking itself, though, with the remaining 11 players in the game. And at the bottom, this may be weird considering the edit that she got this episode, but I'm going to go with Christina. I just think I don't know where she's going. At least they're set up to potential future lines with Sophie S at this point. It's just like, where does Christina's edit actually go from this point? And that's what I ask, because as of yet, she just is there. My gut would say like split tribal boot, but I don't think that they're even going to do a split tribal this season. So who really knows? I'm just not feeling great about her. It's a shame because, like I've been saying, I like her, but they won't give her stuff. And with that as well, Queen Sophie Sagrati does need to follow behind her. It's a shame. We love you, but alas. After her, I don't really know because like I've debated dropping MC a bit. I think as it stands, I'm gonna keep Jawan in this bottom three, despite me thinking Jawan probably has more longevity than maybe certain people here. I just don't really think it's going anywhere that strongly. So what does it really matter? I think it's going to lead up to him just being taken out mid-merge. So yeah, he's going to remain pretty low for me. Next, it's a debate between Sage and MC. I think I do have to put Sage lower at 8, and then I'm going to keep MC in the 7-8 range where she's like been the past couple episodes. I just think that the issue with Sage is I could very easily see her being the next boot, and this sort of being her overall trajectory on the season, so I'm just not 100% sure where it's going to fall with MC, so... I mean, with MC, whereas I think Sage could just be done this episode, or whenever the next episode releases. Following this, we're on to like the true quote-unquote contenders, but not really. I think I'm just going to keep the order that I've had them in for the most part with during this season with Alex at 5 and Steven at 6. I just think the longer the season goes on and the less and less they keep getting, it's just clear Hina just needs to be lower than everybody else in the season. And it's a shame because I like Hina. But it's just compared to every other actual contender that there is, I think that they're clearly at the bottom. And that's even like air quotes saying that I think that Alex is a true quote unquote contender. But like even compared to Hina, I think he's way more in contention. We're at the same top 4 that it's been the entire season. So this might be shocking. But I'm pretty much keeping the same order that I had last episode. I think it well, I don't know. Rizzo Nate is a debate for 3 and 4. I think at 4 I am going to still keep Rizzo below Nate because, like, both of them got relatively weaker segments for them in, like, their edit. So I don't feel great about either. And just Nate's edit has been stronger past this point, so that's kind of where I'm standing. And this is where it gets tough, 1 and 2. I do legitimately think there is an argument for either one of Sophie B or Savannah at this point. And I really do question where to go. Because Savannah's edit has probably been a bit higher of highs. Sophie B's edit is more consistent overall. Sophie got a stronger individual episode, but I feel like Savannah has more setup for long term storylines. I think ultimately I'm going to maintain Sophie 2, Savannah 1. However, I do think it is very close, and depending how next episode goes, it could definitely switch. So, as it stands, my current power rankings for episode 6 of Survivor 49 is number 11, Christina, number 10, Sophie S., number 9, Jawan, number 8, Sage, number 7, MC, number 6, Steven, number 5, Alex, number 4, Rizzo, number 3, Nate, number 2, Sophie, and number 1 stays Savannah. With that being said, I hope that you enjoyed and continue to watch and give your opinions down below. With that being said, y'all have a good one. Bye.